Afternoon, everybody. Thank you, first of all, to NTTA for allowing some space for USAC and for me to be here today. My name is Jem Labarda. Oops, okay, there we go. Jem Labarda. I am the tribal liaison at USAC, and we are the Universal Service Administrative Company. And we provide, or we oversee, the Universal Service Fund programs. But as the tribal liaison, I'm super lucky to have worked my entire professional career in Indian country. And so all of those teachings and lessons that I've had, I'm able to bring that in my role as the tribal liaison. So my goal as a tribal liaison is really to create access for you guys, to connect you to specialists who can answer some of your more technical questions, and also to provide any sort of educational opportunities your community may need when it comes to Universal Service Funds programs. So today I am going to introduce you to a couple of opportunities to further connect your communities to broadband, and also some other really important resources that USAC has for tribal communities to gather data and to ensure that what is being reported out when it comes to some of our high cost funds is what the tribes are experiencing with working with ETCs. So I'm going to get into that in just a little bit. But I do want to let you guys know that USAC is a not-for-profit company, and we are designated by the FCC. Really want to stress that USAC, we do not make the rules. We simply get direction from the FCC and we execute it. So we administer 4 permanent programs, including rural healthcare, E-rate, which is also called Schools and Library Program. We have our Lifeline program and high cost, but we also administer the ACP program, so the Affordable Connectivity Program. And I'm going to just briefly talk about some of the programs that are available at an individual level, but also for the community at large. And the first one is the Affordable Connectivity Program. And ACP helps low-income families benefit from or receive low-cost broadband service. So the ACP program has a lot of great benefits, but one of them is that there's a one-time device discount for the households that qualify for this program. And if a household is eligible, the standard discount that they could receive is $30 a month. However, there is a tribal enhancement, which brings that $30 up to $75. And that tribal discount, I want to make this so clear, it is tied to the land that the applicant lives on. It is not determined by their enrollment or their citizenship. So I just want to make that clear, because that is a big, that can sometimes become a sticky situation, and we just want you guys to know that it is tied to the land and not the enrollment status. ACP eligibility is determined by household and income. To provide income, there are many federal and state programs that could help determine if somebody is eligible, but also USAC has identified that there are many tribal programs that would prove that eligibility, and so we have worked to include that when somebody is applying to verify. So say somebody is on general assistance through BIA. That is a qualifying program. One other thing is that when you're applying for ACP, we also can verify your identity through the use of a tribal ID. And I do know that some tribes do not have tribal IDs, so we've worked really hard to get a good understanding of how tribes are proving identity with their different ID techniques. Like, for instance, Navajo, we have a CIB card, and so I took a long time to get that very clear to some of our ACP colleagues who might not know a lot about how tribes kind of execute that. So there are 3 different ways to apply for the ACP program. An applicant can do it online. We have the getinternet.gov site. I've added a little QR code there that would make it very easy for an individual to apply. You can do it by mail. And the applicant can also do this with their service provider. If their service provider does offer ACP, then they can do that with them as well. So next I want to talk a little bit about the Lifeline program, which is another great program. And this is a permanent program that is funded through the Universal Service Fund. So this one is going to stick around and it's going to be around. Lifeline program helps lower the cost of phone and internet service. The discount for eligible subscribers is between $5.25 and $9.25 a month. It really depends on what services they're signed up for. The Lifeline program does also have a tribal benefit for those living, again, on qualifying tribal lands. The tribal benefit includes up to $25 a month extra for those that qualify, and a one-time $100 link-up benefit, which helps connect the household to telecommunication services from certain carriers. So that one-time benefit will help get them connected. So again, USAC, we recognize these tribal-specific programs. So when applying for Lifeline or ACP, because they are income contingent, I just wanted to make it clear that both ACP and Lifeline is recognizing these tribal programs as well as tribal IDs, and we have that benefit for tribal land, for those living on tribal lands. Is my time up? I'm just kidding. ACP and Lifeline, this is a really cool thing. ACP and Lifeline benefits can be stacked. So if somebody is eligible for both ACP and Lifeline, and their service provider is participating in both of these programs, the individual can stack both of these on their monthly bill to get an even further reduced payment. So at an individual level, those are our 2 programs that are really successful helping the individual. And that's something that I love to explain and love to push, is that these are really great benefits for our community members. But our next program works at a very large community level. Our schools and library program, which is also commonly known as E-rate, it's one of our largest programs, actually. And the E-rate program provides funding for eligible equipment and services for schools and libraries. And the goal of this is to keep students and library patrons connected to broadband. So with this being one of our largest programs, there, of course, are going to be spots where we find a need that tribal communities have. So luckily, with the FCC going out and having consultation and meeting with tribal communities, it became pretty clear that we needed some changes to the program. So in 2022, the FCC changed some of the rules, and it included that now tribal libraries are eligible to participate in the E-rate program. And there are 3 categories, or 3 rules really, that a library or criteria that a library has to meet. And that is that the library must have scheduled hours, must be staffed, and there has to be material available for use. So those are what the FCC has determined, what qualifies or what would then make a tribal library a tribal library. With the addition of tribal libraries to the E-rate program, of course, there was even more feedback. I definitely know that there was a lot of work done in the communities to hear from as many different unique situations to address their needs. And so the FCC just last month made even more changes to the E-rate program. And one of them is that now we are including tribal college and universities, so TCUs, whose library acts as a public library for their community. So if a TCU's library is for the public, it now can qualify for E-rate funding for that space. So not only did they add TCUs now with public libraries to be eligible for E-rate, but we also saw that they increased the discount for Category 2 services for tribal libraries and TCU libraries. And also, one other thing is that we heard that it can be a bit of a challenge to get through the application process or to be successful in the E-rate program. There were also some changes made to make this a bit easier for tribal libraries to get through this. And one thing also that was kind of wild to realize, and something that will make it a lot easier for us to identify tribal libraries and get them some help, is that there is now a definition for the purposes of E-rate what a tribal is. So now we can better identify those that qualify for some of these changes that we saw in the most recent order. Something that I'm very excited about is with this new order that we are expanding USAC's board of directors. It was included in this order to include a tribal community representative. And again, I'm very excited for that. And the FCC should hopefully soon be announcing some more details about that. And I hope that you all are signed up for their e-blast or would like to sign up for the Tribal Nation newsletter that goes out every month at USAC, where once those things are announced, we will be sending them out to the community to kind of get some feedback and get some nominations for that. I had mentioned that we want to identify who the tribal libraries are to get them that help. And something that we do at USAC to provide that extra help is last year we had, for the first time ever, a tribal library pilot program to help E-rate applicants who are brand new to the program or a tribal library that has applied for E-rate in the past and was unsuccessful. So if you fit into that category, we had the tribal library pilot program, and we just announced. There's a lot of announcements, so thank you guys for being here. But we also just announced that we are extending the Tribal Library Pilot Program for funding year 2024. The program is great. We offer one-on-one assistance with this. We also make sure that it's personalized. If something comes up, you have one point of contact who, throughout this process, you're building a relationship with. So if you would like more information about that, definitely come see us. We actually have one of our tribal library advocates here who can answer a lot of your questions. So definitely come check it out. But the pilot program, we do have some eligibility requirements. Again, it's those three things: scheduled hours, it has to be staffed, and materials for users. And so definitely, if you know anybody who might be interested, please let us know. We would love to reach out and offer support. So along with helping schools and libraries, USAC also has a program for helping connect healthcare facilities and providers, and that is our Rural Healthcare Program, also known as RHC. So RHC provides funding to eligible healthcare providers to reduce the cost of telehealth broadband and telecom services. Within RHC, there are two different programs. There's the Healthcare Connect Fund, and that offers a 65% discount on eligible broadband services. And then the other program is the Telecommunication Program, which provides reduced rates on eligible telecommunication services. So this program is really I mean, I think it's a really great program, and I think it meets a lot of people where they are, and it gets some of those costs down. Our last program is run a little different than our other programs. And what's really exciting is that some of the data that we've collected from this is available for tribal officials and governments. And I want to talk a little bit about the high cost program. So the high cost program ensures the universal availability of essential telecommunication services in rural America, and obviously that includes Indian country. So the program provides funding to ETCs to reach rural communities where the market alone could not support the high cost associated with deploying networks, network infrastructure, or supplying connectivity. One thing to know about the high cost program, and this is what I mentioned, like it's run a little different because the FCC, they designate which areas are high cost. But USAC, our role is really to deploy the funds, but also we have a huge role in the compliance component of it. And so one way that we check on compliance and we monitor it is with something called FCC Form 481. This is a really great resource, so I want you guys all to, there's a QR code at the beginning for this deck, but the FCC Form 481 is a useful resource. What it does is that any ETC that is participating and receiving high-cost funds for build-out, they have to file this form annually. And generally, it collects information like where they've built out and which areas they did complete this project already, and also like financial information. But there is a part on the FCC Form 481 that collects the engagement that these ETCs have done with tribal communities. So it's really important to know that the FCC Form 481 user guide for tribal officials and governments is brand new. It's something that literally came out like a week and a half ago, and it is created for those within that capacity to access the information on Form 481. So to go a little bit deeper into what are the requirements that you would be able to see in this form. So FCC Form 481 gathers information on how these tribes are engaging with tribal governments. Some things that it gathers is a needs assessment. So it shows that these ETCs have met to discuss what the tribe's needs are. A deployment plan. They have to identify and discuss any related right-of-way land use issues or concerns, and also identify, discuss, and plan for any environmental concerns or cultural preservation concerns. So this is just a little bit of what you will find in that FCC Form 481. There's a lot more information in there for your access. And I just want you guys to know that this information is available through USAC. In the past, what we found out was that the FCC was getting individual requests from tribal leaders or officials or people in the broadband office to gather this information. So then the FCC or ONAP would reach out to USAC. USAC would then go in and get that information, send it back to the FCC, and then it would get sent to whoever made the request. So there was like a lot of coordination going on. And I just want you guys to know that this is not behind a lock and key. This is at your guys's, if you are a tribal official, government, or work within that capacity, this information is freely available to you. So I really recommend that you use the tribal user guide to get access to this, and then verify that what these ETCs have reported is what your tribe has experienced. So this is a really great tool for you all. And if you do find discrepancies, please definitely reach out to me and we can get some eyes on it. So there is, I had mentioned High Cost has these different funds, and there's a enhanced ACAM fund that the offers are expected to be made and accepted by October of this year. And this fund has some tribal requirements as well. There's a lot there. I'm not going to read them all to you, but again, this is going to be available to you. I will go back to the QR code at the end of this. But again, it's going to be accepted by October of this year. And a carrier that accepts enhanced ACAM support offer, they must initiate tribal engagement with all tribal governments that whose land they would be serving. They have to do that within 90 days. The commission expects that carriers take responsible steps necessary to obtain tribal consent that meets the BEAD program's requirements. So this is new and exciting, and we just want you guys to know that there are tribal requirements associated with this enhanced ACAM. I know you guys have seen a lot of maps, and I just really briefly want to go over another kind of tool that we have on our website. And if you're a visual person, I was speaking to somebody that I am an art nerd person, and so I like a visual, so I really love this map. But what this does is it's a visualization of some of the information that FCC Form 481 has gathered. So this CAF map, or the Connect America Fund map, was first launched in 2018, and it is showing you the carriers that have received high cost funds. It shows you where they have already built out. So what's really kind of interesting about this map and some of the features is we do have a tribal boundary map, so you can see some of the tribal boundaries here, and it's a lot like the broadband map. You can move it around and you can kind of navigate in there, but we are working on including all of the different high cost fund definitions of tribal lands. It got kind of murky there, where kind of a lot of these programs have different definitions. So we want to ensure that we are including that. And some really cool features of the map that are kind of embedded in here and would make it like a pretty easy process. Again, you have the filter down there where you can choose the tribal boundaries. If you're going through this and you're finding some of this stuff is it's mapped wrong, there's an orange, you can see it up there, that orange rectangle that asks for feedback. Right in there, it'll open up, and if you see something, a discrepancy, or maybe you even have feedback on how the map could be better, there's a section in there for you to do that straight away. You don't have to open up another email or anything like that. And so if you wanted to find out how to best navigate or kind of get yourself situated in here, up here we have a little onboarding button, and that will give you a really cool interactive kind of mini lesson to figure out how to best work within this map for what your needs are. So again, this map is just demonstrating what the FCC Form 481 has gathered. But I suggest checking it out. I think it's a great one. I always zoom in on home and see oh, it got serviced in 2018. So it's fun. So again, if you have any feedback, definitely use that little orange rectangle. We would really appreciate it. But I wanted to end and see if there were any questions you may have, anything that I could answer for you. And if I don't know the answer, I have a really great support here to answer any questions. Yeah.
We just completed our first E-rate, and I will say it was one of the more simple processes that we went through. We now have a 1 gig pipe from our carrier to our learning center that is covered under the program by, I think it's 85%. And the carrier will bill just the piece that the program does not cover. So you have those options when you submit and create your FRN. Make sure that you either note you want to be billed the full amount and then get the reimbursement, or be billed just that percentage that is not covered, and then it makes it a little bit easier.
Any other questions?
Well, congratulations. It's nice to hear a positive experience with E-rate. So if you need to contact me for anything or want to find out more about any of our I didn't mean to say that, any of our programs, here's some information. I do want to make sure that I get that QR code back up here so that if you want access to anything that's linked, like the tribal user guide, that you do have access to that. And I just, again, want to thank everybody so much for giving me this space today to share about the programs that USAC administers, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you.